Let's talk about what I think is the untapped opportunity right now. People say, Graham, is there still opportunity for me to make a living doing audio? Or they think that the whole music industry is collapsing. No, no, no. This is the best time to even consider making a living from music. And the reason is this. Every day, friends, there are more and more musicians who are jumping into this space of wanting to create their own music and share it with the world. And it's because of this revolution, right? Gear is so cheap, so anybody and everybody can start recording and sharing their song ideas with the world. What that means is you have more independent artists than ever before, okay? And the opportunity for you then is to help those musicians make their songs sound better. They might be able to record, but they might need help with mixing or mastering. They might be able to songwrite and do demos, but maybe they really don't know how to get a professional sound even with their equipment. There are a lot of those people. Trust me, I interact with them all day. You, on the other hand, if you've been following the recording revolution, you hopefully have learned a lot about recording and mixing and maybe even mastering to the point where you have something to offer. You could help them get a great sound and help them realize their musical dream and get their music out there to the world. That's the way you're going to make a living, make this side income in music, is you help other people get their songs to sound good. Here's the thing. You're going to take something you already know how to do and get paid for it. That is what is amazing, and there's so much opportunity out there. Now, I have taught these strategies, the ones I'm going to show you today, to over 1,000 people, okay, who are now successfully earning a regular monthly income from working on music. And some of them, it's just on the side as a hobby, and it's just an extra bit of money every month, which is great. Others have turned it into their full-time income. But before I show you this 3-step process to start earning $500 to $1,000 per month from music, I need to bust some myths, all right? Myth number 1, the I don't have anything to offer myth. If you know how to record, mix, or master, you have a lot of value to offer, okay? Because what comes easy to you is like rock science to others. Think about the way you were when you got started. You didn't know anything about recording or mixing. You were frustrated. That might be how you found me with the recording revolution. All these musicians who are coming online and starting to make their music, and they feel excited because they have the gear now, they don't know how to use it. And it's complex to them. But if you've been recording and mixing for a while, yeah, it might be no big deal to you, but it's a big deal to others. Now, also think about it from a busy musician's perspective who doesn't like to record or mix, okay? They might even know how. They might even be really good. Some of my clients are really talented at recording and mixing. They just don't want to do it. They would rather focus on their craft of the songwriting, of performing, of touring, of interacting with their fans, and they'd rather bring in an outside perspective. And they will pay me to do something they technically know how to do. They're just busy, and they feel like I'd be able to do a better job focusing on them. Make sense? Myth number 2, the I don't know how to run a business myth. Okay, I get this one a lot. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by the word business. Okay, in reality, you're simply getting into freelancing, okay? That's all I want you to think about is freelancing. What is freelancing? It's simply this. You get to work when, where, and how much or how little you want to. This is great. This is really no different than a photographer or someone who cuts grass, okay? You have a service and you offer it for clients on a case-by-case basis. That's all you're doing. You're simply leveraging a skill that you already have to serve other people and earn money. Now, how fun is that? That is what I love about freelancing. And so when I say business or a side business, that's all it is. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't overcomplicate it. And myth number 3 we need to bust is the nobody will actually pay me for this myth. Or worse, I don't deserve to get paid. Okay, maybe you're thinking this. Let me encourage you. People pay for what they don't know how to do. Okay, we addressed this in the first myth. Don't assume everybody knows how to record and mix very well. There are a lot of people who don't. In fact, most people don't. Most people who own equipment or who are songwriters and musicians do not know how to record or mix very well. So don't assume they already know how. Okay, they will pay you for you to do something they don't know how to do. people will also pay for what they don't want to do themselves. Okay? Like the busy musician, like some of my clients who know how to, they don't want to. Another example with a cutting grass metaphor, I pay people to cut my grass. I certainly know how to cut grass. I cut grass for most of my life as an adult. When I cut my dad's grass when I was a teenager, I cut my own grass for years and years and years. And then I decided, you know what? I don't want to cut my grass anymore. So I'm paying someone to do something that I just don't want to do for myself. It's another way to get into business. And then just because you like doing something doesn't mean it isn't a valuable and desirable service. Okay. A lot of people feel like, well, I like doing this. This is fun. This isn't really a valuable service. It's just what I like to do. That's actually a great indicator that it's the perfect service for you to offer because you love it, but it doesn't mean it's not valuable. It might be very, very valuable. Okay. In fact, the strategy that I'm going to show you today, if you implement it, people will actually want to pay you. Okay. They won't just feel like what you're offering is valuable. They will want to hand over their hard-earned money. Got it? All right, so are you ready to dive in to learn the 3 steps to start earning an income on the side from working on your music? If so, let me know. Say yes in the chat box. Hang in there with me. Now we're going to get into the meat. Yes, Daniel. Ready to go, AJ, Sergio, Alex. Perfect. Everybody's ready to go. Let's do this. All right, step number 1. This is critical, okay? 3 steps. Step number 1, determine your ideal client and your unique offering. This is huge. People get tripped up on this, determining your ideal client. This is one step that I honestly see most freelancers skip. They skip this entirely, and yet it's quite possibly the most important element of your business, okay? And real quick, before I forget, because I don't think I mentioned it, if you have specific questions about this stuff, I know you're itching to ask. I'm going to do Q&A at the end of the webinar. So just save your questions for then. I will definitely be able to answer your questions. So for now, let me just get through the material so you get the meat of it, and then we can dive into your specific questions. Forgot to mention that. So yes, don't want you to skip this part. This is really, really huge. And here's the idea. I don't want you to work with everyone. I want you to shed that mentality of take every work you can get, work with anybody that offers you money. This is a bad philosophy because the wrong clients will sap your energy. They will sap or take away all your joy. It's not fun to work on clients that are really, really annoying or demanding. I've been there. And then more importantly, they'll sap your time. The wrong clients will take away time that you could be developing or working with other ideal clients, okay? There is an ideal client out there for you, and not everyone is that person. Now, related to this, I don't want you to just quit your day job just yet when you're starting out, because if you quit your day job, one thing happens for sure. You become desperate. You need money. You become desperate, so you take everything that comes your way, and that is a position of weakness to be in business. You want to be working from a position of strength, which is you don't need the money. At least you tell yourself, I don't really need the money, so I'm going to be picky with who I work with. Not too picky that I'm looking for some perfect person that doesn't exist, but someone who is an ideal fit for you. Okay, you don't want to be desperate, so don't quit your day job right now. Start off so you can find your ideal client, and then you won't do something dumb. And by dumb, I mean I've done it. I've worked with clients I really shouldn't have. So how do you find your ideal client? There's really 4 criteria that I use personally to define my ideal client, and they are personality. I literally have a list of what kind of personality of people do I like to work with. It might be easier to think about people you don't want to work with. Maybe start with negative experiences you've had. I don't want to work with people who are like X, Y, Z, or whatever in terms of personality. Because again, you're going to be partnering with them. It's going to take time and it's going to be a partnership. So you want to define their personality. I also define it by their income or their budget that they can spend. Basically, how much can they afford to spend? There's no point in working with someone who at the end of the day can't afford your rates. It's not good for them or for you. So I kind of have an idea of how much I expect them to be able to spend. Musical goals. I think about this. Do you want to work with people who are just trying to capture their music for fun or for their family? Or do you only want to work with people who are really trying to grow their fan base and tour? You could think about that as a way to define your ideal client. an element of it. And then finally, genre. This one's interesting. I'm a big fan of really picking the main one or two genres that you are known for and the type of music that you want to work with. Doesn't mean that you can't work with stuff outside of your genre. Doesn't mean that it's not beneficial to do that. It just means that I prefer to work in a certain genre because I know I can deliver. And I really like working on that music. So I really encourage you to determine who this ideal client is based off those 4 criteria. Now, along with your ideal client, you want to determine your unique offering. Okay, you don't want to be the person who does everything. Okay, you don't want to be the person that offers every service. You don't want to be the Walmart of the audio space. You don't want to be the I can record everything and do everything and mix and master and do live sound, and you don't want to do everything. Okay, here's the deal. Niching or niching, depending on where you're from, narrowing down to just recording. All you do is record bands, or just mixing, which is primarily what I do, or mastering, being a mastering engineer. Niching down to one of those 3 things or whatever you pick, it helps position you as an expert. This is huge. It makes people think, wow, that's all he or she does. That must just be, they must be really, really good at that, because you're not offering everything. It really subtly positions you as an expert. Also, when you do this, you can then command higher rates. You can charge more down the road because you only do one thing and you do it well. Okay? Also, your clients are more excited to work with you because they're like, this guy or this gal only does mastering. So of course I want to have my project mastered by someone who only does mastering. It's probably going to be great. So they're willing, they treat you as an expert. They're excited to work with you. And afterwards, they're generally more satisfied because, again, it's all in the eye of the beholder that you only do one main thing and you must do it really, really well. And think about some examples here. If you had knee pain, let's say, you go to the pharmacy, you see a couple of types of medicine. Would you rather buy the medicine that says cures all pain, or one that says cures knee pain? Okay. They might literally be the exact same drug in the bottle, and they might both work exactly the same. But subtly, aren't you going to trust the bottle that says cures knee pain because that's what you have? Same thing. I love this. I think about the toilet example. If your toilet breaks, would you rather hire a handyman, someone that can fix your toilet? They can also lay carpet. They can also do a little bit of electrical work for you, do some carpentry. Or would you hire a dedicated plumber, someone that only does plumbing? Literally, they might both be able to fix your toilet the same, and they might be both just as talented in plumbing, but you probably feel more comfortable handing your money over to someone who only does the thing you need them to do, plumbing. Make sense? So as you think through, before you put yourself out there, figure out what is it that you're going to offer? Who are you trying to reach? What kind of band? What kind of artist? What kind of client? And what's the main thing you're going to focus on? Okay? I really want you to take the time to do this. Most people skip both of these things. They jump right into working with people, and I understand that, but they're going to miss out. They're not going to be able to make as much money, and they won't be as successful. Okay. Step 1, done. Let's get into step 2. You need to do a few free projects. Okay? Now, your first goal as a freelancer is to build up a portfolio. Your portfolio is going to be your credibility marker. This is going to be what allows you to sell your services down the road. Without this, it's really hard to ask people for money because they don't know what you can do. So your portfolio is very much a moneymaker for you, and it will be. It'll be a very important part of what you do. Now, the best way to do this is to do some free work in the beginning of your journey. Okay? This is why you start out and you're willing to do work for free at the beginning, is because in exchange, you know you're going to build up your portfolio. Now, you got to keep in mind here that free doesn't mean you're doing someone a favor. Okay? You need to be professional, and you need to guard your time. Be professional and guard your time. You want to treat it like any other gig, as if you were exchanging money, in terms of what you offer and what's allowed and how many revisions and your communication style and what you expect of the band and what they expect of you. The only difference is that you're not exchanging money. you still are exchanging something valuable. You are getting a portfolio from them and experience from them, and they are getting the same mix or master or recording. So they get something of value, and so do you. You don't want to water it down. So you got to still treat it like real work, but you need to do some free work to build up a portfolio that represents what you're capable of doing. And over time, of course, your portfolio will change and evolve as you work with different bands or artists. And as you get better, you'll want to refresh it. I've always looked back at old portfolios and been like, that mix is awful, because I've just gotten better, but it was a good snapshot of what I could deliver at the time. And that's what people are looking for when they want to hire you down the road, is they want to be able to hear, what have you done? They want to be able to hear work you've done and go, wow, this guy's good. Or wow, this girl really knows how to turn out a great recording. And then they feel comfortable engaging in a potential conversation about payment with you and working with you. So you get it. You got to do a few free projects. And yeah, if you have friends who are musicians, I say start there, because it's the absolute easiest thing to do. This is how I originally started. Was I went up to my friends who were in bands and said, hey man, let's work together. Can I record? I'll record a song for you for free, or your album. I need experience. And they already knew me. They trusted me. It was easy. But not all of you will have a musician circle where you can do that. And I understand that. If you don't have a bunch of friends who are musicians that you can already start doing free work, I want to give you an email template that you can use to reach out to other bands who have never met you, never heard of you, that will help you land a gig and a potential future partnership with them. Okay. This is really, really helpful. Here's the template. I'm going to walk through it with you. I'm going to read it through and unpack the psychology of this email. The idea of this is not necessarily that you copy it word for word. In fact, if every one of you, and there are thousands of you who are signed up for this webinar, if everyone's copying this email and it gets out to a lot of people, it'll sound a little forced. It's more of a template you can mix and match and tweak as to give you a framework. But follow the flow here. So let's say there's a band that you really want to work with. And again, this is just to get free work, to build your portfolio. Here's what you would say. You'd send them an email. You say, hey, Jimmy, Susan, Trevor, whatever their name is, I'll just take 20 seconds of your time. Or can I just take 20 seconds of your time? This first sentence is very strategic, because you're saying right away, even in the preview that shows up in their inbox, if you have Gmail and you see the first few lines, they know they don't have to commit to a long email. It's going to be very quick, which makes them at ease because they're probably busy. And it also allows them to respect you a bit more because you respected their time early on. The second sentence, my name is Graham, and I'm a huge fan of your music, specifically your whatever EP or song or album. Okay. This sentence is very strategic because it starts to immediately compliment them. People, and musicians in particular, love to hear from their fans. They love to be praised. We're all vain in that way. And if you can then specifically mention a song or album or project that they did, it's a double whammy, because it shows that you really are a true fan. Because it's not just a, hey, love your music. It's you're pointing out something specific that you love. And it shows that you've taken time, and they feel even more excited about this email because like, oh yeah, I love that album too. Or that was one of my favorite songs. Or wow, no one ever mentioned that song. That's cool that this guy Graham really likes it. So within 2 seconds, you've said, this is not going to be a long email. And look, I love your music, specifically this. They're already getting warm fuzzies. Very, very important. Next sentence, I'm a producer. So now I'm saying who I am. In the Bay Area or wherever you live or whatever. And I have a simple proposition for you that I think will help you get more out of your music, get more of your music, out to your fans, absolutely free. Okay, now here's the bait. You're saying, okay, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, I'm a mastering engineer, or whatever. Okay, now they know who you are. And you have a simple proposition for them. And then you get right to the benefit that will help you get more of your music out to your fans. So that's a benefit. And here's the kicker, absolutely free. Okay. All in one paragraph, you've done a lot to get them even interested to read the rest of your email. If you don't set up the email this way, they won't have time or care to read the rest of your email. Trust me, from a guy who gets hundreds of emails a day, some emails that reach me are a lot more effective than others. And you can see a lot of the psychology in this first paragraph, getting me to even read the rest of the email. Here we go. I'm currently updating my mixing portfolio and would love the chance to work on some of your music. My offer is simple. You send me one of your most recent recordings, and I will do a complete professional mix of it at no charge, no strings attached. Okay, so here's the details of the offer. Now they understand what you're trying to get out of the deal. Okay, you're updating your portfolio, so you want some work to feature. Okay, that now they know why are you even contacting them? And then you've cleared up the offer. It's like, look, specifically send me a recording or whatever you're asking for, and this is what you're going to get, a professional mix at no charge. So now they know the clear details. You immediately go back to the benefit here, not the feature, not the what, but the why. So this is that next paragraph. You can use this mix as a free single or promo song for your fans in between albums or EPs. It's a great way to add value to your fan base at no cost to you. So again, see how we went back to the benefit to them, giving them even ideas of how to use this. They might not even have a new song to record. They might not even have new material, but you're planting ideas. You're incepting ideas into their mind of, that would be cool. Oh, this is a great way to add value to our fan base, and it would cost us nothing. So very, very benefit driven to them. And then let's end this email very strategically. Next paragraph. I can have the mix delivered to you within 4 days of receiving the files. This is strategic. So you're trying to move into like taking an action step and get them to think about, oh, wow, you really want to do this. Okay, Mr. Graham, and you can get this to me within 4 days of whenever I give you the files. This is doing two things. It's getting them to think about it tangibly and thinking about how quickly the turnaround could be for them. Also, you're doing something strategic. You're under promising and over delivering, because actually, if they gave you the files, I bet you could mix it in a day or 2 days or 3 days and have it to them in less than 4 days. So you're giving yourself a window of time that you can over deliver. And they're like, wow, he got it to me even faster. If 4 days isn't reasonable for you, make it 7 days, make it whatever. But write a period of time that's not too long, but definitely longer than it takes you, so that you can over deliver later. And then this next sentence is huge. And from looking at my calendar, the next 2 weeks look pretty open. Wow, this is bold, because now you're saying, I'm ready to work on this in the next 2 weeks. How about you? So it makes them think about their calendar, and they're like, wow, do I have anything ready in the next 2 weeks? It gets them to think about it more on the ground in a real practical sense, as opposed to a cool idea that someday we should do. You got to give them some urgency to be like, let's work on this together soon, because otherwise, even if they want to do it, life will get in the way and they'll move on. And you want to narrow it, lock it down for them. And then here's a final 2 lines that are so critical you don't want to miss. Do you have 5 minutes to jump on a quick Skype call this week to talk about details? Okay, now you want to take the next step. You want to jump on a call with them, so you can really seal the deal to work on this with them. Again, you're promising what it's going to be, how long it's going to take, 5 minutes, quick Skype call. So you kind of reinforce that it's not going to be long. I know you're busy. And then you knock it out of the park. This is how you seal the deal. Looking forward to hearing from you. This kind of puts it just without any real pressure, just a little bit of like, it forces them to respond to you, even if it's no. And that's good. You want them to be able to say, hey, bud, no, thank you. Or we don't really have anything, or, not at this time. That's fine. But it forces them to think about responding either way. And you really, really want to get them to respond. So again, this will all be in the slides. If you stay to the end, you're going to have all the slides, and you can use this and pick it apart later. But use this as sort of a guide, of a flow when reaching out to a band or an artist that you really want to work with, and you want to offer them a free mix or recording, whatever. It's a great way to get your foot in the door with people. And it's a great way for you to build your portfolio. Now, let's get to the third and final step here. And this is really, really practical. Let's actually build your portfolio site. Okay? This is really, really important. You actually have to build the site. So let's talk about this. One of the most important things that your website should have is a clear service offering or benefit. Okay? And this, you need to know what it is, which was step one. What is your unique offering? Step one. You got to know what it is. But then your site, my friend, has to make it clear all over the site. What do you offer? Are you a mix engineer? Are you a mastering engineer? Are you a front of house person? Are you a producer? What are you? Are you a songwriter? What are you? And what do you offer? And who are you for? This goes back to the ideal client thing. You really, really need to be able to know who you're for and who you're not for, and what you offer and what you don't offer, so that you can communicate that clearly, so that when people land on your website, I think I've heard Neil Patel and others say that the average attention span of a person on a website now is 8 seconds. 8 seconds. You have 8 seconds. If you're lucky enough for someone to land on your portfolio site, if you're even that lucky, you have 8 seconds to make sure that they can find out if this site is for them or not. And either way is good. You don't want them to be confused. So there has to be clear headline and copy and imaging and everything that says who you are, what you offer, and who you're for. Okay? Make sure that's really, really clear. You're also going to need, obviously, a portfolio of, I think, of at least 3 songs. Okay? You can have more. You can have as many as you want, but at least 3. Keep in mind, no one's going to listen to all of your songs, and they're certainly not going to listen through all of the song itself. Even maybe one song, they won't even listen to all of it. They'll listen to a few seconds. So it's very important that when you do pick songs, obviously they need to sound great, but you got to make sure that your portfolios get right to the good stuff. If you have a song that you think is great and represents your work beautifully, but has a super long and drawn out intro, not a good idea for a portfolio song, because they press play. If it takes them, again, 8 seconds, they haven't really heard anything yet, they're going to move on. You want to either have a song that starts really banging right at the beginning, or what a lot of people do, which is strategic, is just trim down a sample of a song. So just have the hook and a verse or whatever of a song. So what you actually put on your website is just a 60-second sample or a minute and a half sample of the song on only the good parts. The part of the song that makes someone really enjoy the song, they'll probably really appreciate the production quality a lot from that as well. So get right to the good stuff. This is huge. You want to have clear pricing and a description of what's included. I'm a big fan of putting your pricing on your website. Okay? This is controversial for some. They'd rather not do it. Huge fan of putting your pricing on the actual site, because then people can go, oh, I can't afford this guy. Okay? That way they won't even think about contacting you. Or, ooh, I can't afford this guy, but I really want to work with him. Let me think through this. How can I get the money? They're already valuing what you do, but trying to find a way to get the money. Or they're like, oh, this is perfect. I love his samples, his portfolio, and the pricing is right around where I thought it would be. This is great. It really sifts out people that really you shouldn't be dialoguing with if they can't really afford you anyway. And then you also want to be clear on what do they get for that money. If they hire you to mix, like for example, if they hire me to mix, if someone hires me to mix, what they get for their money is clearly stated. It's like, you're going to get this number of revisions, you're going to get, this quality of MP3 to start, but when final payment goes through, you're going to get, the high quality wave and the high quality MP3. I'm very clear what they get and what they don't get. I also say, look, for this price, you don't get any auto-tune or pitch correction. You don't get any drum editing. That's not included. I don't do that. If you want that, we can talk about that separately, but that's not included at this price. Just be very, very clear on that. And then you're also going to want testimonials. Ideally, again, 3 or more. Again, I would get at least 3. You can't have too many, but 3 or more from people that have already worked with you. Now, if you haven't worked with anybody, of course, you've got no testimonials. As you start to reach out to bands and do free work, you're going to want to ask for testimonials from every client you work with. And you want to solicit testimonials from people who obviously had a good experience with you, but try to get testimonials that focus on how happy they are with their results. Not just like how good you were to work with, because that puts the testimonial again on working with you, which is important, but what's more important are the results they got. Like, oh, my song sounded better than it possibly ever could have on my own, or I had no idea my mix could be that good after his mastering, or whatever it is. Testimonials that show really happy clients are really, really valuable, because we live in the Amazon age, right? You buy something from Amazon.com, you always want to see, well, have other people bought this? And do other people tend to like this? We feel more confident buying something that other people buy and like. So testimonials are your Amazon reviews, basically. They are showing that you not only have credibility, the product looks good, but other people have worked with you and have gone through the entire process and come out on the other end really, really happy, really, really satisfied. Don't underestimate the power of a handful of really, really good testimonials. Now let's talk about the biggest mistakes that I see with portfolio sites, and I have seen a lot of them with my students over the years. Okay. This one's the biggest one. I'm going to start with it. It's just having way too much information about you on your website and not enough information about them, the potential client, the visitor. Okay. This is so common. I see a website that says, welcome to Graham's mixing site. My name is Graham, and I've been mixing for 15 plus years, and I went to this audio school, and I've trained under this person, and I've worked with this such and such band, and I'm certified here, and I've got this kind of studio, and this is the gear I use, and this is, blah, blah, blah. I've been awarded this award. It's all about me, 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 me. And while that's usually done out of insecurity, you're trying to create credibility because, again, you're insecure. That's not how people buy. That's not how people choose to work with you. They want to hear about themselves. You want to draw them in by focusing on them and what they're looking for, not on you and what you can offer. You'll connect the two, but having too much information all about you is just a waste of time, and it's actually turning people away. Have more information focused on them and their dreams and what they're looking for. Very, very important. Big mistake is having a gear list page. Nobody cares. I should say most people don't care. Some people do, and they are not your ideal client. That goes back to your ideal client. You don't need to work with people that want to see a photo of your studio or want to see a gear list or know what plugins you use or whether you use Pro Tools or not. None of that. You and I know that gear doesn't matter. We know that. Not everybody knows that. But having a gear page does one thing and one thing only. It communicates to them that gear matters, and you're trying to prove that you've got the right gear. They might not have even thought of that. So don't even have a gear list, even if you think you have some good gear, because it's irrelevant. Just avoid the conversation altogether. If people want to know what gear you have, they can ask you. In 15 years of doing this, I think I've only had one person ask me what plugins I use, what microphones I have. They don't care. The right people don't care. So I don't have a gear list page. I actually used to have a fake gear list page, and I would tease people, be like, gear list or studio, and they would click on it, and I'd write about how I have this ridiculous $100,000 SSL console, and I listed all this stuff, and then I said, no, I don't have that stuff. That's stupid. Why in the world? That would cost way too much money even to power and maintain that stuff. I can pass on the savings to you by working in the digital domain. And I made fun of gear list pages, but that's how snarky I am about them. It's a waste of time. Another mistake, we talked about this, too many services offered. Again, I see a lot of insecurity here. People want to do everything, and they list, I mix, I record, I master, I can produce, I can do mobile recording, I can do all this stuff. You don't want to do that, okay? Too many services offered. Complicated pricing structures. Don't have so many packages and versions of a price depending on what they do. Keep it so simple. All right, you don't want to lose people with complicated pricing. The simpler, the better, honestly. Busy and hard to navigate websites. This should not be a problem for you. Please don't fall into this trap. Less is more. You really don't want to have too much stuff on your website, okay? You want to have the right things, and if you have too much stuff, then you're covering up the right things. You're making it hard for people to find the important things like your portfolio, what your prices are, how to contact you, what your testimonials are. You know what I'm saying? So the simpler the website, the better. And then honestly, guys, at the end of the day, your website exists to do one thing: connect with the right type of artist, show your credibility, and present them a great offer. That's the thing. So maybe that's 3 things, but lump them all together. This is all your site is trying to do. And instantly, within 8 seconds, connect with the right type of artist. Okay, if they feel like it's for them, then show your credibility through your portfolio. They take a listen. Wow, this girl, she's good, man. They read a testimonial or 2. Okay, cool. She's worked with other people. They seem really happy. And then present them a great offer. Like, oh, this is what she's offering. Am I interested? Can I afford it? That's it. That's all you need to do. Everything else is really superfluous. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. It doesn't really matter if it's dark or light. It doesn't matter if it's text heavy or image heavy. All those things are really nuanced. What I want to do is I want to show you 2 examples of 2 of my students and their portfolio sites. I see a bunch of them, and these aren't the only way to do it, but these are 2 that I think really have done a great job of presenting all these things. They're avoiding pretty much all these mistakes, and they're focusing on the right things, and they're very, very different from each other. So I want to give you 2 examples to take a look at. The first is one of my students, Jasik, and his website is polishedmix.com. Okay. If you look at this is just a screen grab of his homepage, or part of it. I didn't scroll all the way down, but just sort of the above the fold kind of thing. I noticed a few things that jump out right away. I noticed his headline, making you sound your best. Ooh, I love that, because the word you is in there twice. Not me and my and I and what I offer. It's about me, the visitor. It's about you, the visitor. Polished Mix. Okay, what is Polished Mix all about? Making you sound your best. Okay, I'm interested. Then right below that, you can see he does mixing, recording, production. Now, that kind of breaks the rules a little bit. He does a little bit of everything. Not my favorite. I'd be happy if he just went right to the welcome page. Now, look at what he says under the welcome. My name is Jasik, and I run Polished Mix. Okay, he mentioned himself, but in less than a sentence, look how he goes right back to you, the visitor. A service set up to help independent artists, oh, that's me, release high-quality music. Hey, that's what I want to do. He continues to focus on you. Whether you already recorded your songs and need a professional mix to launch them on iTunes and Spotify, or you need somebody to record your band using 2 preamps, great microphones, and the know-how, I've got you covered. See how he's so focused on you as the visitor, what you're probably hoping to do, which is you want to release songs on iTunes and Spotify, or you want to have your band recorded. And he keeps going. As a musician, you've put a lot of work and effort to write great songs. Make sure you make them sound great and get the attention your music deserves, right? I love that. And then he goes on to say that he's a certified Pro Tools engineer and a little bit about him. But he gets the order right. He is so focused on the visitor and what the benefit is to them, what it is, what's in their head when they land on his site. What's in their head is, I want my music to sound awesome, and I need help with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And he really is nailing that at the beginning. And then what's the other big thing that you see right to the right of that? His portfolio. He's got a SoundCloud playlist right there, so you can hear instantly. You don't even have to go navigating onto a menu to hear what he can do. I love how he knocked those 2 things out of the park. Really, really great example of how to focus on the benefit, on the visitor, get right to the portfolio. So within seconds, I can know if this is for me, what it can offer, and if he's good or not. Love it, love it, love it. Now, I want to show you one more example of a great portfolio site that is completely different, okay? This is from a company called Nation Productions. And what they do, as you can probably tell if you look at it for 1 second, is they take demos of songs that an artist might demo, and then they get Nashville-style bands, talented session players, and they record full-on produced versions of your song. I love how clear this website is. We turn these, and if you go to the actual site, you can press play and you can hear the demo, into these, and then go to the right, press play, and you hear the full done final mix with session players. And it's mind-blowing, and it's so fun. They use as few words as possible to communicate what they do, who they're for, their credibility. It's unparalleled. This is probably the most effective site I've seen for what they do specifically. And it's cool also to notice what their offering is. It's a very unique offering. They don't do everything. They do one thing. They turn your demo into a fully produced song with session players. Very, very niche. Not everybody wants that. But someone who does, they're going to want to work with this person. And they give you 3 examples. So there's their portfolio right there. And it's all focused on you. And if you look at the top of their menu, it's very simple. And I love how they didn't use the typical rates portfolio. They actually went a little more creative with the menu. The main goods is what you're looking at. It's the homepage. It's the main goods. It's like, hey, this is what we can do. Boom. The next page is how it works. That's what I think I would be interested in next. How does that work? Do I have to interact with the band? Do you pick the band? It's very clear. The money stuff is great. Okay. What the money stuff is. I love it. That's your rates. The request line, how to contact them, and then they have a little bit of a blog they started. I love what they did here. And this, when I was reviewing their site, I told them this is one of the most effective sites I've seen because it made me literally want to demo a song and send it to them. I was blown away. Love it, love it, love it. So these are just two examples that are wildly different from each other, but you can see the things they have in common, focused on what they offer and clearly positioning who they're for, having a great portfolio, easily accessible, focusing on the user and the visitor and not focusing on them. And you don't see anything about their studio. There's no pictures. There's no talk about them. There's not even any welcome text. It's just, this is what we do. We turn this into this. I love that. Very, very effective. Now, just to give you some simple places to get started, if you've never built a website, you don't have to hire an expensive web designer to do this. You can use, there's so many services out there now that are drag and drop website builders, and you can have your site ready in just a few hours. Squarespace is one that I've used before. It's, once you get the hang of it, very easy to work, beautiful. It hosts your site for you. They'll give you a domain name. They give you templates to start with, and it's literally drag or drop. Wix is another one that's very easy to use. In fact, this last site was made with Wix. Okay. I don't even know if it's on the screen grab. I don't think so, but the actual site says made with Wix at the bottom. They made this for free. Okay. And it's turning out money for them. So check out squarespace.com, check out wix.com. There's a million others. If you're good with coding, obviously you can do it yourself. So it's the best time in the world to need a website because it's never been easier to do one. Now, in review, these are the 3 steps that we've covered, okay, to start earning a living from music. Step 1, which most people skip, and I don't want you to skip, is determine your ideal client and your unique offering. This is the foundation, honestly, friend, from everything else is built on. You don't want to skip this. Step 2 is you got to do a few free projects. Got to do a few free projects to build up that portfolio. It's really, really important, and it's what's going to be your credibility marker moving forward. And then, of course, step 3 is you got to build that site, okay? You've got to build the site, and it's got to feature the right things and ignore the wrong things and be clear as day is what's going on. You don't want to have a site that's ineffective, all right? Now, in the past hour, I want to ask you a question. Would you agree that this webinar has been time well spent so far? Just say yes in the chat box if it's been time well spent so far. Yes, yes, yes. Everyone's saying yes. Good, good, good. We're not done yet. Oh, good, man. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Great. As you imagine, I can't cover everything that you need in an hour webinar. I wish I could. Even if we had all day, I could go on and on and on. As you can tell, I love this stuff. And I've only scratched the surface. So I've got something for you. It's going to allow you to get everything that you need in order to generate a great income from music. And it's literally step by step. And in fact, if you act fast, I'm going to make you a very special offer. So you want me to keep going with the webinar? Can I teach you some more stuff right here, right now, and tell you about how to get your hands on everything that you need in order to create great income from music? If so, just type yes in the chat box if you want to hear about it. C. Yes, yes, yes. Great. Awesome. Let me tell you something about something I call the freelance arc. This is very, very important. Yeah, I love you guys are still coming in. Awesome. Now, there's 4 stages to the freelance arc. In stage 1, this is a way I view this whole process of freelancing. Stage 1 is where many of you are at. It's where maybe all of you are at right now. You don't have any clients. You haven't even started. You're wondering how to do this. And you're wondering, you're insecure, am I good enough to do this? We all have to start that at that place, and it's a real place. I hope that today, the point of today's webinar is to get you to go from stage 1 to stage 2, which is free work. This is a legitimate stage. This isn't where I want you to stay forever, but this is also not a stage that you typically skip. You need to develop your craft, the business infrastructure. Obviously, we've talked about your portfolio website, your portfolio, getting testimonials, figuring out who your ideal client is, your unique offering. All this is happening in stage 2. This can be a fun and liberating stage. This can be a creative stage. This can be a flexible stage. For some people, you might do this for a month. So for some people, this might be a stage you do for a year. You might have a lot of friends that you're doing free work for and just loving it. One of my friends, Joey Sturgis, who's an award-winning mix producer, recording engineer. He does a lot of metalcore, a lot of really, really heavy bands. He did this too out of his parents' garage, just fiddling around with, out of his friend's studio too, fiddling around with gear, recording all his bands that he knew of in his circle for free for a long, long time, and becoming known as someone who's really good at this and never thought he could charge for it. We all have to spend time in free work. And in my idea, in my mind, this is the stage where you're not just testing the waters to see if you're any good. You are secretly and not so secretly collecting your credibility, which is your portfolio, and get a good portfolio. So work with really good bands here. Please don't work with everyone. You might have to at the very beginning. I get that, but start working with your ideal client as soon as you can in the free work stage. Now, stage 3 is really important. That's paid work. This is the hardest jump from stage 2 to stage 3. Most people are so scared to start charging. Okay? They're so scared to start charging because of a couple things. One, they don't know how much to charge. That's a very practical thing. They're afraid of charging too much or too little. They don't even know where to begin with that. So that's a question I get all the time. Graham, how much do I charge? Another reason they have a hard time jumping to stage 3 is that they're insecure. Going back to those earlier myths, who am I to offer this stuff? Who am I to charge for this stuff? Why would people pay me? Okay. This is a huge reason people don't jump to stage 3. They're really insecure and they stay in stage 2 for too long. Okay. You don't want to stay in stage 2 forever, because if you do, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to potential clients, because you'll do better work and they'll put in a better job as the talent if you're charging something. It's funny, something funny happens when you charge. Everybody takes it way more seriously. So very, very important that you move to stage 3 as quickly as you can after getting your portfolio. Okay. Now, there's another stage. You think that would be the end of it. The 4th stage of the freelance arc is raising your rates. And this is a stage that you don't actually ever leave. You only over time increase your rates. I would say probably every year or so, as your portfolio improves, as you work with better talent, as you improve and your skills get better. Maybe as your studio develops and you have better equipment, or you can offer more services or more in-depth services or whatever. For example, when I was recording bands, I started to reinvest money into my studio, and I could eventually buy an audio interface and the microphones and everything to be able to record multi-track drums beyond 2 channels. Now I could do more for my clients. I have more to offer. I raise my rates, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't want to skip this. You don't want to stay at your rate. Most people, when they do get to stage 3 and they're charging something, they're not charging enough. And so stage 4 is important to actually charge what you're really, really, really worth. So the question for you is, where are you on the freelance arc? Are you stage 1? No clients? Are you stage 2 already, starting to do some free work? Or maybe you've been living in stage 2 for too long and it's time to move to stage 3 and start charging. Or maybe like many of you, you are in stage 3. You're already charging stage 3, but you're not charging enough, and you need to move to stage 4 and raise your rates.